Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Community Focus here on Channel 6 TV. I'm Kenny Fogle, your host. November 6th. Mark that day on your calendar because that's the day that you get to have your voice. You get to go to the voting polls. You get to say who are your community leaders. I mean, it's simple as that. It's your say, your day, and I hope you take advantage of it because it is one of the most important responsibility all Americans have, and I hope you just take it seriously. And that's what we're here for today, is to help you take it seriously, introduce you to the candidates that are on the ballot, and give you a more educated choice in who to vote for when you get to the voting booth on November 6th. We've got with us today Todd Harper. Todd is a candidate for the Nelson County Sheriff here, in Nelson County. And first of all, Todd, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having us.
So, who's Todd Harper?
Well, I moved to Bardstown in 2000. I was working for the Hardin County Sheriff's Office where I was born and raised. I got into law enforcement when I was 21 years old. And about a year later, a friend of mine I went to the police academy with, Will Strunk, had worked for the Bardstown City Police Department. So we talked, and he said they had some vacancies, and I was interested in a change. So I moved to Bardstown in 2000 and took a job with the City Police Department. And almost 3 years later, somewhere in 2002, late 2002, I took a job with the Nelson County Sheriff's Office from there. Working for Mike Newton. And so after about almost 6 years there at the Sheriff's Office, I decided to try Louisville Metro Police Department out.
And a little bit different than Nelson County, Louisville.
It's a whole lot difference. A whole lot difference. And I just was looking for a better way to support my family financially, and the benefits were much better there. So we did go through that hiring process, and were hired by them in 2008.
Yeah.
And so where we're still at. And as of February, I rode the street in the 3rd Division of the Louisville Metro, which ranges from Cane Run Road all the way over to Fairdale, Dixie Highway, that area there. And recently in February, I took a job with the School Resource Officer Program with JCPS, and I'm currently assigned to Shawnee High School in the West End, and that's where I go for my daily duties. Monday through Friday is working there at the school with the students and the staff.
Okay, so somewhere back, you say around 21 years old, something clicked in you that said, I want to be in law enforcement. What was the motivation there?
I wanted to be in law enforcement ever since I was old enough to know what law enforcement was. And that's what I always wrote down when in school, where they would ask what you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to be a police officer. I never wavered from that. That's what I always wanted to do. Before I was 21, I wanted to work in similar jobs, like a security job. I was asset protection with Sears for a few years there. And because it was as close as I could get to law enforcement without.
But you know there's bad guys out there that don't like law enforcement and shoot at them.
Yeah, I've heard that, and so, but it's more of a calling. It's not for everybody. If you get in law enforcement to get rich, then you pick the wrong career because you're not going to get rich. Your health is going to be a little rough at times because of the schedules that we have to work. Family life can be rough at times because of the schedules and holidays and things that you miss with your family due to work and mandatory work days. There's some things like in Louisville, the Kentucky Derby, you're not getting that day off. So you're going to have to work the Derby. You miss those type of events, you're going to miss time with your family. And that's just the career I chose. And so I understand that that's part of it.
I always, because law enforcement to me, I mean, I served some time in the military, and to me, we had some days that were bad. But law enforcement to me, it's every day. Because you never know when you walk up to a car or when you walk into a building, what you're going to see on the other side of that window.
Right. It is. It's not something that you can keep always in the forefront. If you police in a scared manner, then you could be dangerous. And so you always got to have that in the back of your mind to be safe, obviously. But it's not a spirit of fear that you go around doing your job. if you're confident in training that you've had, it's just an initial response. And I've been in situations where I responded, and then later on I would reflect back on that and be like, wow, that just happened, but I reacted immediately to my training and was able to respond accordingly to the situation.
So, I mean, again, you mentioned you're going Bardstown Police, Nelson County Police, Louisville Police. All that is built up to a certain type of experience that unique to Todd Harper.
Right.
So, I mean, is that something that builds into your mentality, or can you sense when something is not right?
Well, I think I can. I feel like I've become a better a judge of people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I am. I'm always reading their movement, reading, trying to think what they're thinking before they even know they're thinking it, type of deal.
Yeah.
And so always being a people watcher, always watching things around me and seeing what's going on. So it does affect your life. It affects your family's life, because my wife will take on some of those characteristics as well. And it's just, to me, it's just being safe. And we live in a society nowadays that you never know what could happen. And obviously within the last 5 years here in Bardstown, we would have never thought these things could happen here in Bardstown. They only happen in the bigger towns, the bigger cities and states and things like that, but they can happen here, and they have.
Okay, well, somewhere in the last year or so, I don't know what day it clicked in you, but something just you decided you thought that want to be the next Nelson County Sheriff. What brought that on?
Well, it's just reflecting back. The last 5 years in Nelson County have just been horrific. And it's been horrible. And looking at the direction of the sheriff's office, I felt like it really needed change. It needed something different. And it's nothing personal against those other guys that were trying to obtain the same office. It was just, I feel like that I believe that it needs a new direction. And I believe that a lot of voters in Nelson County feel the same way I do. As I'm out knocking doors, the word change comes up a whole lot.
And why is that? Do they think that the Nelson County Sheriff's Office is not as qualified as they should be, not as aggressive as they should be, or just need somebody to take a different look at things?
Right. It's leadership. I believe there's a lot of great guys that work on the Sheriff's Office. There's the guys I worked with when I worked here back when I did. And there's some new faces I don't know real well, but I believe it's just leadership. I believe they're just, the Sheriff's Office went through a horrible time as well. Nobody could put that on the sheriff the last 5 years. The homicides that were took place here, that's a big deal for a law enforcement agency. And I believe people were just watching that and looking for something different. I believe there's been a breakdown over time with community relations. And I believe as a law enforcement agency, that's a dangerous place to be, to lose communication with the community. Because there's only 20 deputies out here patrolling the streets, but there's over 40,000 people here in Nelson County. So they're going to see and hear a whole lot more than what we see and hear. If I was the sheriff, on the sheriff's office, they're going to see a whole lot more than those guys see with the 40,000 plus people. And so we've got to be able to build a relationship with the community that they feel like they can contact us. If they were to see something out of place or they're suspicious of something, they could contact us and let us know. And that's why I propose a weekly crime report to put out using social media, newspaper, TV, radio, however we can get that out. Every week I want to put that out. And we don't need to put specifics, but we can put, let's say for instance, the 5,000 block of New Haven Road or something of that nature. There was a burglary and give some information about that. Well, somebody may see that that lives near that location and know, I better hatch down my own house here and protect it because someone's out here breaking into houses. Or they could say, you know what, I seen a red truck with a primer painted door out here and it was a little suspicious. Maybe I should call the sheriff's office and speak to that detective that's working that case and let them know what I seen. It could be what we needed to solve that case.
Well, do people trust law enforcement? Do I trust, would I call you that I'm not going to be a target of something?
Right. Well, that's a concern. It's a concern that some people do have. But I believe if we can lead with integrity and show them that we have integrity. We're going to have to earn that respect. I mean, that's just not something that's handed to you.
Yeah.
We're going to have to earn that respect. And if there's those out in the community that have those issues, as sheriff, I want to be able to earn their respect back. And because I believe for the greater good of our society, we need each other. We've got to work together, or we're going to be working against each other, and we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to solve anything. So we need a relationship where we're working together.
Well, obviously the sheriff's office, you say, a very small force, but a very large mission. You got traffic control. You're out there doing warrants, serving warrants. I mean, you're doing so many things. It's almost hard to say what is the mission of the sheriff's office.
Right, it is. I mean, there's constitutional jobs that you have to take care of by law, as far as the courthouse goes, and property taxes and serving papers and all those things you have to do.
Yeah.
Irregardless of your duties, you have to do.
But
those
do you have
things.
time to do investigative work? I mean, I guess the question.
Well, you have your court-assigned deputies, and then you have your patrol and detective section. But you've got to be able to spread things out where you can cover all these things that need to be taken care of, and you got to prioritize.
Yeah.
And right now, one of the things I think that need to be prioritized is drugs in Nelson County. It's out of control, and I know in Louisville it's out of control, and I've seen it here. It's out of control. And my concern is the last 20 years since I've been in Nelson County, there has been one narcotics detective from the sheriff's office assigned to the Greater Hardin County Narcotics Task Force. And over that time, they've added detectives to the property crime section and that do general investigations. I think they had 2 and a sergeant last time I checked. Well, they had that one detective in narcotics the whole time. So to me, they were treating the symptoms of a disease, and the disease is drugs. Yeah. That's where everybody's feeding their drug habit. But at the same time, they were treating the symptoms by adding investigations to that. And those things need to be investigated too. However, we need to attack the disease, which is drugs. And I'm not talking about going out here and just locking up somebody that's addicted to drugs, because we have no idea what they're dealing with, what led them down that road to where they're at. We need to find a way and work with our community, form community partnerships with facilities where we can facilitate them to get where they need to go to get the help they need. If we continue to punish them, we're just chasing their tail. We need the drug dealers. We need those that are poisoning our communities by selling their drugs. They need to be in jail. That's what we need to be doing.
Well, I guess the question most voters and most people I talk to say, is this problem so large? We hear the word cartel. We hear the word distributors, the distributorship here. A lot of people believe that the drug epidemic is so large in Nelson County that we're throwing our hands up and giving up.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. People do say, well, it's just too big. We're never going to win the war against drugs. And I was talking to someone on the phone on the way here, and we were talking about it. And I said, you know what? I'm not ready to wave the white flag. This is my community. This is where I raise my family. And I'm going to fight it till I can't fight it no more. I'm not giving up until they make it legal. Yeah. And as long as it's illegal, we're going to fight it, and we're going to fight it tooth and nail until we feel like we can make a difference in the fight against drugs. And I believe that we're going to give it our best.
Yeah. So what else? I mean, what other issues you see is going on in the sheriff's office right now that really needs a lot of attention?
Well, a lot of people focus on the homicides, and then they focus on the Crystal Rogers, the recent television show that was out. It's a great concern to people, great concern to me. And so I believe the sheriff's office I believe it's very important to have a cold case detective come in and look at that case from the very beginning. And that's not a knock against anybody that's been involved in that case. That's a tough deal. And but sometimes it's best just to let somebody else look at it, and maybe even work as a team. But somebody can look at that thing from the very get-go. And we want to work hand in hand with the victims' families. We want to keep them in the loop as much as possible, and let them know, because they're going to help us as we investigate that case and we look at things. We need to work together. And if it was my child, I would want to know as much as I could. I want to be treated that way, the right way, and that's the way we should treat the victim's family. So I want a cold case detective. I really do. I think we can get somewhere with it, and we need to start over with that and start at the beginning. And I'm not ready to give up on the Krista Rogers case. I don't think the sheriff's office or any of the detectives over there are ready to give up on it. And it certainly wouldn't be fair to Sherry Ballard to think that everybody's given up on finding her daughter, because I think we need to ramp it up.
Well, I know a lot of times, and obviously the police department can't tell you everything they're doing because it just can't be done. But I think that's what people are scared. I mean, people are scared because sometimes we hear the police department say we're making progress, and we've got all these clues, we just don't put them together. Is there what can you say to ease people to know that the sheriff's office really does have things pretty much under control, but we just can't tell you?
Well, you know, at this point, we have a murderer walking around. Do we have one murderer? Do we have 5 murderers walking around? I mean, how many did one person
But
kill?
does law enforcement pretty much know that and just can't say it, or is that something that's still ongoing that you just can't get figured out yet?
Well, the issue is I work for the local metro police.
Right, and I can't ask you that question.
I can't.
That's just a hypothetical.
Right, I don't see the files, the case files, what they have, they don't have. What I know is really what everybody else knows. Yeah. And is there a case where they're waiting on evidence to get back, and so maybe some DNA, maybe some other things? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I couldn't tell you, but sometimes that is the case. I know there's a backlog of having evidence tested. So to have things tested, it could take a couple of years sometimes. So not in every scenario are they able to solve it just like that because they found DNA at the scene or something, a fingerprint or something like that. It takes time for those things to process. So to be able to say exactly what's going on, I had no way to do so.
Well, in addition to being a police officer and a family man, you're also a minister. How does that affect how does that affect you as Todd Harper? I mean, what is that? I know it's who you are, but what does that mean for you as a law enforcement agent?
Well, it means for me, law enforcement officers should be, whether they're a Christian or not, they should be doing the exact same thing, which is caring about people and doing the right thing. And as a Christian, that's what I do. I care about people, I have compassion for people, and I believe in doing the right thing. That's the same thing a law enforcement should have. That should be his integrity. And if he doesn't, there's a problem. But as far as it affected me, it's affected me in about every positive way being a Christian could affect a person. And so I believe if I always rely on my faith, and I believe in prayer, and I believe prayer does work. I've seen it work, so I know that it works. I believe everything will be all right. If I just allow the Lord to lead me in what I'm doing and making my decisions, I believe I'll be just fine. So I certainly appreciate having something like that to rely upon.
Well, law enforcement takes a hit quite often because I know you hear the stories, somebody got shot accidentally or something or another. Now, you're going to have a lot of people under you, and you be trained in a certain way. What are you looking for in deputies?
Integrity. Integrity is number one. I've said it from the very beginning. When I form a command staff, I'm forming a command staff of people I trust, but I'll also have them to reinforce that. I'll have them sign a resolution of integrity. And basically that's saying we believe in the mission that we have in front of us. We believe in living a life that is professional to the public, and anything that we do that could compromise that could get us dismissed from the command staff, because that's very important to me. But that should also trickle down to every deputy working on the sheriff's office, that they should already have that integrity about them and doing the right thing. And for me, it's not about running for sheriff and going out and making promises to this guy and this guy and this guy. You can be a sergeant, you can be a lieutenant, you can be a captain, you can be a major, and just help me go campaign, go knock doors for me. And they may not be qualified to do that job. So who am I to be telling them they can do this and do that, and shouldn't be doing that anyway? So it's important that the right people are placed in the right positions where I know they can be successful. We may not be best friends, but I may know for a fact that that guy can do that job with excellence, and that's where I want to put them, because that's the only way the sheriff's office is going to be successful.
All right, November 6th, we got voters going to go to the polls. Any last message you want to give the voters before they make their mind up?
Well, I appreciate all the people I've talked to up to this day. We've knocked a lot of doors, and we've met a lot of great people, and it's been an amazing adventure. But I do have a true burden for Nelson County. I want to see better for Nelson County. We live here. We raise our family here. We have since 2000, and I want to see better things in the future. And I just feel like, and I believe, that we need new direction. We need new leadership, and we need to lead the sheriff's office with integrity. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. I plan on leading the Nelson County Sheriff's Office with integrity. I believe in working with the community hand in hand, and together we can make a difference together for the good. So I would appreciate your vote on November the 6th. Vote Todd Harper.
All right, Todd, appreciate you being here, taking the time out of your day. I know you had to come all the way from Louisville. You've been working every day. You know, don't have the luxury of being off every day going campaigning.
Right.
But you get any sleep at night?
Not much. No. Not much.
I'd say your nights and weekends are pretty booked right now.
Right.
All right, it's Todd Harper running for Nelson County Sheriff here in Nelson County. And again, your turn to have a say in this is on the 6th of November, Tuesday the 6th of November. And one of your choices, Mr. Todd Harper, Nelson County Sheriff. Stick around. A lot more to come here on Channel 6 TV. We'll be right back.